Good afternoon. A guy living in the north of Sweden. Have you seen him? He's probably barefoot. He's probably hugging trees. He's probably very happy and free. Do you see him? Do you see that person? Maybe he's on the screen. Yes, there is one of those on the screen. But I am also Alexander Pohl. I'm a 20-year veteran banker at one of the biggest banks in the world. I was with the IPCC process 20 years when there was something called the Clean Development Mechanism. My father said, become a banker. I became a banker. I have 2 children, 1 car, a house, some fancy clothes. On paper, I live the life that most of us are told is the picture of success. But for whatever reason, a few years ago, I started to sense that there was something missing. And I don't know if many of you are in a similar position. Big corporate jobs, lots of stress, maybe self-created, maybe through your employer, maybe through life. Maybe you have a really fancy house and a big mortgage, or a really fancy electric car and a lot of car finance. All of these things are very normal. But over the course of the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to introduce you to what I call my new normal. And that's something which is very interesting, at least for me in my life, because it took me from London, one of the meccas and pinnacles of finance, the urban life, fine things, Michelin star restaurants, to the middle of the forest in the north of Sweden, to founding my little business called Be Human Natural, with a mission of reconnecting people with their inner and outer nature. Now, nature is a topic that I personally am very close to. And how many of you are nature lovers? Yeah? How many of you live in the countryside? Yeah? How many of you are regularly in the forest, barefoot, touching trees and listening? Okay, if there are some indigenous people here, you don't count because that's part of your nature. But for the rest of us, we've lost our connection to nature. And I'm going to say this out loud. I'm greatly disappointed in this COP because everyone's talking about machines and money and all of these sort of synthetic constructs, which are very important, but they're not talking about nature. And I feel that Antonio Guterres should come to the north of Sweden on one of my retreats, and I guarantee you his rhetoric would change. We would be moving from technology-based solutions and AI back to indigenous ways, nature, intuition, and home. You are nature. I am nature. But we talk about it as something separate. So, inside of all of us is something. Yeah? Let me just take my jacket off. So, what is inside of us? Inside of us is our ancestral history. Inside of us is double helix strand of DNA, which is made up of 8 billion years of research and development by either Mother Nature or some other divine creator. And I don't mind what religion you come from because I believe that all religions have the same origins. But what else is within us? All of you have a kind heart, right? It may be hardened by life and circumstance, but it's there. And that's very important to recognize because heart is at the core of goodness. And I think that you are all good people. I don't care what country you come from. I don't care what you have done. I really don't care what you think because I know that you are something special. Sorry, I'm struggling getting my clothes off. This is not a problem I usually have, I guarantee you. But nonetheless, it is something that is important to think about. What is inside of you? And how do you access that? Because this talk is about the Wim Hof Method. And how many of you are familiar with the Wim Hof Method? Yeah? Good? The rest of you not. He's an amazing man from the Netherlands. His name is Wim Hof. He created a method which brings Eastern and Western together. It brings outer and inner together, and it does all of this in a very simple way. Some of it may include taking off your clothes, but I guarantee you that I will not take off all of my clothes, in case you're getting excited. But nonetheless, it's something that you have to work at, and you have to take time to access it. So, excuse me. Just 1 second, bear with me. So, welcome. I am also Alexander Pohl, and I am, sorry, that's the last one. I'm sorry to disappoint. But I am also Alexander Pohl. I am Alexander Pohl after 5 years of living life and experience and accessing a new world through my breath. So the Wim Hof Method consists of 3 pillars: breath work, cold exposure, and mindset. And that's really important to keep in mind, that everything has multiple dimensions, you know. Again, I do have a little bugbear with the UN and the IPCC process. It's not all about carbon dioxide. It's a very complex, holistic system. And we need to be thinking about unintended consequences. We need to be thinking about innovative ways to access things, and also simplicity. So, breath work, cold exposure, mindset. I go into frozen lakes. I immerse myself in 2-degree water for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. I generally walk around like this, in shorts and t-shirt. I have sort of separated myself from some of the material pressures that I felt was my image, because now I recognize myself on the inside. I don't get sick very often, and when I do, I welcome disease, dis-ease, when you are out of balance. And many religions, Sufi, etc., they recognize that balance is also at the core. It's also at the core of our climate problem. The world is out of balance. So to get back in, I use breath work. And so now I'm going to teach you this, so that you can also take your first step in your own personal journey of life before and after discovering breath work, if you haven't already. So to do this, what I need you to do is just make yourself relaxed. Take a moment, close your eyes, and just take 3 breaths. Breathe in and out. In and out. And now you may have thoughts going through your next presentation, your next meeting, what you might be doing. Just acknowledge those thoughts and let them pass through. Very good. Now what I want you to do is I'm going to teach you how to breathe in 1 minute. Pretty crazy to think. But just like our connection to nature, we have lost our connection to breath, and breath is our gateway, one of the gateways, back to nature. And so, I'm going to teach you how to breathe, and then if you take nothing away from this presentation, the ridiculousness of a man getting undressed from a banker into a man who lives in the forest, take this breath away, because it will serve you, and it will serve you well. So close your eyes again, and what I want you to do is just to breathe into your belly. You breathe into your belly, and you feel your belly expand like a balloon. Very good. Let it go. Just let the air flow back out of your body. Take a breath in, fill your belly, and let it flow back out of your body. Very good. Next, breathe into your chest. And this is a familiar breath. This is the stressed chest breath that most of us have as our daily life. Your boss tells you to get a deadline brought forward. Your partner criticizes you for something you've done at home. You breathe into your chest. It's part of your breath, but not the way you should breathe. So breathe into your chest, feel it expand, your rib cage, and let it go. Breathe into your chest, feel it expand, and let it go. Very good. So that's the second part of the breath. And there's one more part, because all 3 good things come in 3s. You may have noticed, a triangle is one of the strongest structures. The Holy Trinity, if you're a Christian. Why is it always 3? Well, breath is 3 as well. So the third part of a full natural breath is breathing up towards your head. So just breathe and visualize the air filling your shoulders and filling your collarbone. And you might feel your shoulders rise a little bit. Maybe it's the the shruggy breath. Good. Take 2 of those breaths and now put these 3 breaths together. So, breathing in, fill your belly, your chest, up to your head, and let it go. And with that letting go, you're letting go of your worries, your cares, your pressures. You're anchoring yourself in this present moment, and you're anchoring yourself in your body and yourself. You. Because you are the center of your universe, and you all matter, and you all have butterfly effect ability to change this entire climate process. The climate crisis could be solved and will be solved by each one of you. Do not outsource the responsibility to Antonio Guterres and all the delegates. They might be making decisions on policy, but ultimately the responsibility lies with each of you in your own control. So take a couple of breaths like this. Breathe in, belly, chest, head, and let it go. Very good. Very good. Take one more. Deep breath in, and let it go. And now we'll do 3 more breaths. But when you're breathing in, you're going to breathe in all that you need, and you're going to lock it into down to the cellular level. You're going to breathe in positivity, hope, love, kindness, and the knowledge that you are going to change the world, because you are your world. So take a deep breath in. Feel the energy of your neighbors, of the world flowing into your body. Lock it in. And then just release. Breathe deeply in. Fill your belly, your chest, up towards your head, and release. And we do one last one. Breathe deeply in, filling it up, and then letting go. Now what I want you to do is just take a look at the person next to you, give them a smile, and hold their gaze for an uncomfortable amount of time. So let's say 15 seconds. 15 minutes, oh my God, that would be lovely. But for 15 seconds. Good. Yeah, very good. Wonderful. And now, not to neglect your other neighbor, look across to the other side. Find someone for 15 seconds. I like that smile. That's a beautiful smile. Thank you. Wonderful. So what you have done, I have a very short period of time, so I'm very grateful that you enabled me to create so much positive energy and hope. And perhaps you changed your own state. And I didn't even do a good job. If you do a retreat or a breathwork session with me, which you can do every morning at 9:15 here in Extreme Hangouts, you will learn so much more, because you're just scratching the surface on your human potential. Supposedly, we are only 4% of our human potential, right? What does that mean? Because you're all pretty awesome, I'm pretty sure. If you're here in Baku, Azerbaijan, you must be someone special. Of course, everyone is someone special, but you made the choice to do something pretty special. That's 4% of what you're capable of. Well, how do you get to the other 96? You can come on a retreat with me, you can learn meditation, you can learn yourself again. There are many different ways. And all I want to say is, hopefully, these 15 minutes have inspired you to be curious, to ask a few questions. Ask about the origins of things that people tell you. Ask people about their cultures. Ask people about, the hardcore science. I've been talking to scientists here about climate change, really to understand it from first principles. And what I've given you is just a simple tool, which is the first principle of life, is breath. It is the first thing that you do when you are born. Is the baby breathing? You get smacked into this world. And arguably, what do you hear on TV shows, movies? He stopped breathing. It's also how you're determined when you die. If you do it well, I would argue you will live better, longer, healthier, or as Wim Hof says, healthy, happy, and strong. And if you don't, you're neglecting yourself with one of the simplest tools. It doesn't require climate finance. It doesn't require machines. All it does is require you setting a positive intention, acting on it, and following through. And if you do that with your breath, and you carry that on to the rest of your life, I guarantee you guys are the change makers that we've all been waiting for. So thank you very much for your time. Like I said, come to one of the breathwork sessions in the morning. You can also find me on the web, behumannatural.com. And I would love, exactly, Be Human Natural, exactly. And I would love to see you all again. I would love to hear any of your personal stories. And of course, also later this week, I will be showing my documentary film called Headwind 21, which takes a really probing, questioning angle about my own personal journey of how I went from what some people call the matrix, or being separated from nature, and finding my reconnection and the beauty that that achieved. And that beauty lies within all of you. And I look forward to perhaps hearing more about your own personal journeys, which are so inspiring. And it takes two-way conversations to make that happen. So thanks again. Find me later, and enjoy the rest of your day.